Not what any of us want to see, and everybody's around him, and let's hope that he's going to be okay.
He tackled a receiver, stood up, took 2 steps, and collapsed. His heart had stopped. Cameras were rolling. The whole country was watching a man die on live television. These are the 10 most emotional moments in NFL history. And at number 10, one player's fight to save his young daughter turned an entire locker room into a family. Devon Still was a defensive tackle just trying to make the Cincinnati Bengals roster. Then in June 2014, doctors told him his 4-year-old daughter Leah had stage 4 neuroblastoma, a 50% chance to live. Still didn't hesitate. "She's fighting for her life," he said. "Sports is not more important than me being there, while my daughter is fighting for her life." The Bengals cut him from the 53-man roster days later. But instead of walking away, they brought him back on the practice squad, just so he could keep his insurance and keep fighting for Leah. Nearly 15,000 of Still's jerseys were sold, raising more than $1 million for childhood cancer research. 9 months after diagnosis, Leah's doctors delivered the words her father had been begging God for: no evidence of disease at the S-Pies. Standing next to his daughter, Still broke down, describing the nights he snuck into hospital chapels to cry. And then he told the world what Leah said to him one night, tracing her hand from her stomach to his chest. "Dad, I'm taking the cancer out of me, and I'm giving it to you." She's now over a decade cancer-free. But at number 9, a hit landed so violently on live television, it stopped a game, a stadium, and a nation cold. January 2nd, 2023. Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin makes a routine tackle on Bengals receiver T. Higgins. He gets to his feet. 2 seconds later, he collapses backward onto the turf. No contact, no warning. His heart had simply stopped. Trainers sprint out and begin CPR in front of a stunned Monday Night Football audience. Players from both teams circle around him in tears, some kneeling, some unable to watch. For 9 agonizing minutes, medical staff fight to bring him back before the ambulance arrives. Hamlin later put it in 6 words: "I died on national TV in front of the whole world." The NFL made the unprecedented call to suspend the game entirely. Money didn't matter. Ratings didn't matter. A young man's life did. Doctors diagnosed him with commotio cordis, a freak, split-second disruption to his heartbeat from the impact. Just months later, he was cleared to play again. "This event was life-changing," he said. "But it's not the end of my story." But some moments in the NFL aren't about survival. They're about honoring someone who didn't. That brings us to number 8. On November 26, 2007, Washington safety Sean Taylor was shot during a break-in at his Miami home. He died the following day at just 24 years old, leaving behind a young daughter. The league was gutted. Taylor wasn't just a pro bowler, he was one of the most feared, most respected players in the sport. But at number 7, one man's grief became one of the greatest single performances in league history. Brett Favre's father, Irvin, died suddenly of a heart attack on December 21, 2003, the night before the Packers were set to play the Oakland Raiders on Monday Night Football. Favre had a choice: fly home, skip the game. Nobody would have blamed him. He chose to play. He said his father would have wanted it that way. What happened next still doesn't feel real. Favre threw for 399 yards and 4 touchdowns in a 41-7 blowout. He played with a kind of reckless joy that looked less like football and more like therapy, pointing to the sky after every score. It wasn't a performance built on anger. It was built on love. Most human nights the sport has ever produced, but grief doesn't always come from a single night. Sometimes it takes years to turn tragedy into triumph. At number 6, a stadium came back from the dead. After Hurricane Katrina devastated New Orleans in 2005, the Superdome wasn't just damaged, it became a symbol of the disaster itself. Thousands sheltered inside it during the storm in horrific conditions. Many wondered if the Saints, or the city itself, would ever recover. 1 year later, on September 25, 2006, the Saints returned home to a rebuilt Superdome for the first time. Just 90 seconds into the game against the Atlanta Falcons, Saints special teamer Steve Gleason blocked a punt that was recovered for a touchdown. The building didn't just cheer, it shook. Grown men wept in the stands. It was, for a lot of people, the first real proof that New Orleans was coming back. Gleason was later diagnosed with ALS. In 2012, the city erected a statue outside the Superdome to honor that exact moment. They called it rebirth. But at number 5, a single interception broke an entire city's heart in real time. Super Bowl 49. The Seattle Seahawks are 1 yard from back-to-back championships. 26 seconds left. Marshawn Lynch, arguably the most dominant short yardage runner alive, is standing in the backfield. Everyone on the planet expects a handoff. Seattle throws instead. Rookie cornerback Malcolm Butler jumps the route and picks it off at the goal line. Game over. Championship gone. One decision. One split second. An entire fan base's dream gone. But heartbreak isn't only about losing games. Sometimes it's about the people the game leaves behind. At number 4, a Hall of Famer's death exposed the sport's darkest secret. Junior Seau was the heart of the San Diego Chargers for more than a decade, a first ballot Hall of Famer whose energy defined a franchise. In 2012, Seau died by suicide. His family made the difficult decision to donate his brain to science. Researchers confirmed what many around the league had quietly feared. Seau had chronic traumatic encephalopathy, the degenerative brain disease, linked to repeated head trauma. His death didn't just devastate a fan base. It forced the entire sport to confront what decades of hits had actually been doing to the men who gave everything for it. But at number 3, one owner's death turned a football game into an act of loyalty nobody saw coming. Al Davis wasn't just the Oakland Raiders owner. He built the modern NFL as much as any single person alive. When he passed away in October 2011 at 82 years old, it marked the true end of an era. Every team around the league held a moment of silence for Davis that week. At number 2, a quarterback's botched field goal hold became one of the cruelest single plays in postseason history. 2006 NFC wildcard. The Dallas Cowboys are down 1 point with 1 minute and 19 seconds left, lining up for a 19-yard field goal that would give them the lead. Tony Romo, the holder, has done this 1,000 times in practice. Then he bobbles the snap. He scrambles, sprinting for the end zone as the crowd goes silent and gets dragged down just short of the goal line. No field goal, no win. Just Romo face down in the turf as an entire season slipped through his fingers in the space of half a second. It's remembered less as a mistake and more as a moment, the kind that follows a player for the rest of his career. No single hit compares to a father fighting for his daughter's life in front of the entire country, week after week, season after season. We already told you Devon Still's story earlier, but here's what most people don't know. While he was showing up to practice, suiting up, trying to hold his career together, his daughter Leah was fighting for hers through 41 days of chemotherapy, 40 days of antibody therapy, 19 days of radiation, and a 7-hour surgery. Still described the moment doctors first told him the diagnosis like this. He shaved his head in solidarity with Leah. To millions of people who watched a father refuse to give up. That's not a football story. That's a story about what football, at its very best, can carry.